Good morning, brothers and sisters. May the Lord bless you. In prophecy, the Lord told me that He would be giving me children and that that child would be a great blessing for me and my family, but that I had to trust in the Lord because the enemy was going to try to steal my blessing, but the Lord would not allow it. In the last moment, the Lord said He would glorify Himself and bless us. 15 days after my son was born, we noticed that there was a red spot on his genitals. Also, he began to have fever, so we went to the hospital. The doctors looked at him and said, "Your son needs to be checked in because he has an infection." When we brought him to the city of Cali in the hospital, they said he needs to be checked into the intensive care unit urgently. And we noticed that what was red had began to harden. His fever didn't go down. The spot started working its way up to his chest. After 3 days, he had to receive a blood transfusion because he had a low blood count. We noticed that when we went in to look at our child, he looked like he was decomposing and he was swelling up. After that, 15 days went by and the pediatrician said, what was a red spot is starting to die, and his skin is beginning to decompose. If this continues, we'll have to amputate. And I prayed to the Lord, and I asked Him to have mercy. After that, I went to the church, and the Lord spoke to me at that moment about what was important to Him, but I didn't understand. He said, I will transform you. I will make you into a new person. You will serve me. Continue on. Press on. 25 days went by and my child had respiratory problems and he had multiple organ failure. His organs weren't working properly. And they told me, stay by your phone because we could call you at any time to come pick up your son's dead body. So I went to the church and spoke to the pastor there. And he asked me, are you laying hands? I said, no. He said, go receive prophecy and lay hands on your child when you see him. When I received prophecy, the Lord told me, and you ask me if I'm listening to you. Of course, I'm listening to you. You're my child. Pray to me and don't doubt. So the Lord strengthened me and gave me new strength. So on a Sunday morning in the church, I was watching a transmission by Sister Maria Luisa, and I knelt down. I said, Lord, I can't take it anymore. If it's your will, take my child. But remember that you gave him to me, and you said that at the very last moment you would manifest yourself. But do your will, O Lord. Whatever your will is, I accept it. And brothers and sisters, 40 days after he was in the intensive care unit, my child, that was the only time I asked the Lord not to heal him, but just to do his will, and I put it all in his hands. The Lord was so merciful that when I went to visit my child, I laid hands on him and I was caressing him and he opened his eyes and the doctors came in and said, Dad, leave. And my child was trying to remove the breathing tubes. And I said, Lord, you are great. You are powerful. I was praising the Lord. Then after a half an hour, the pediatrician said, come and see your child. It was as if nothing had happened. His swelling began to go down. He laughed. The miracle was so great that his breathing tubes were removed that day. 2 more days went by and we went to the church again. It was a very great blessing because when we arrived, Sister Maria Luisa was visiting that day. It was wonderful. And in the final prayer, Sister Maria Luisa prayed and we felt joyous after the Bible study. The next day, the pediatrician said, take your child home because he's fine. And it was amazing, brothers and sisters, because my wife saw that the nurse was going to change his diaper and she said, do you want to change it? She said, yes, but be careful with the gangrene. But when she went to change the diaper, everything, that dead skin stayed in the diaper. There was nothing wrong with the child. And the doctors were surprised. And they were shaking their heads in disbelief. The most amazing thing is that after the Bible study, we were able to take our child home. We went to the church again, and the Lord said, did you see how I raised up your child from the dead? Because from your God, nothing is impossible. I testify to give glory and honor to my Heavenly Father.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. May God bless you. I testify to give the honor and glory to our God. In past prophecies, He told me that I would be seeing a doctor. but not to worry at that moment about those results because He would be glorifying Himself in my life. To only pray to Him in that moment and to pray to Him that He would be listening to me. Brothers and sisters, I was admitted to the emergency room due to a problem in my kidneys. When I arrived to the hospital, they did a lot of exams. Amongst them was an ultrasound. When it was time for them to discharge me, the doctor approached me and told me that I had to make an appointment with the gynecologist because the ultrasound they did showed that there was a cyst in one of my ovaries. When I got home, the first thing I did was pray to God and ask Him to perform a miracle in my life and to remember that promise that He had made, that He would be glorifying Himself and that He would be listening to me. Brothers and sisters, the day of the appointment with the gynecologist, the doctor performed another ultrasound. When she performed the ultrasound, she observed and told me everything was good and that my ovary was in perfect condition, that she did not see any cyst in my ovary. And she asked me a question, and if I had had any surgery in my ovary, and I answered that no, in no time had I had any surgery. And she said, but it seems here that there was a surgery. And I once again told her that no time I had any surgery. She told me, well, you can go at home at ease because everything is fine. Your ovaries are in perfect condition. I felt so much joy in my heart because God had performed a miracle and that manifestation in my life, and I was grateful with the Lord. I testify to give the honor and glory to our Heavenly Father.